Hello everyone. Today in this video I'm going to show you a small demo about how to configure OSPF version 3, which is based on IPv6 addressing. So we're going to see a short demo about configuring OSPF version 3 for area 0 on in OSPF routing protocol. So in this simulation that here I'm using the Cisco packet tracer, I have three routers, RT1, RT2 connected to RTR. I already configured the IPv6 addresses to the serial interfaces of all the routers connecting each other and to the loopback 0 interfaces on each router. So the next step, I go to RT1, okay, and from RT1 I would like to check if all the IPv6 addresses are already configured. Yes, I see the IPv6 address for serial interface and IPv6 address for loopback 0 interface. So this is RT1. I go to RT2. On RT2 is the same thing. I just double check and see if all the IPv6 interfaces have been assigned IPv6, all the interfaces have been assigned IPv6 interface addresses, sorry. And I notice here IPv6 address assigned to serial 0/2/0, which is this serial interface, plus the IPv6 address assigned to loopback 0 interface. Good. Now I go to RTR, the router which is connecting between RT1 and RT2, and I do the same thing, show IPv6 interface brief, just to see the IPv6 addresses assigned to the interfaces of the router, physical interfaces, 0/1/0 and 0/2/0, plus loopback 0 interface. So everything works fine. Now we have to proceed and configure the IPv6, the OSPF version 3 on top of IPv6 on RT1. Now, the first thing I do, I'm going to do this. I need to enable IPv6 routing by using this command, IPv6 unicast routing, and then I move to loopback 0 interface. Under the interface, I will configure the OSPF. So IPv6 OSPF, I give a OSPF process number 10, which is local to the router only, plus I have to indicate the area where this interface is, where the interface belongs. So area 0. I will do the same thing with the interface, with the serial interface 0/1/0, our physical interface that connects between RT1 and RTR. And I use the same command here, meaning that the interface also participates in OSPF routing protocol for area 0. And to show that these two interfaces belong to the same OSPF process, so they have the same process number, OSPF process number. All right, so after I have done that, I go now to the second router, RT2, and from there, I will go to the loopback interface, okay, IPv6, OSPF. I can give, for example, OSPF process number 20, area 0. Well, first I need to enable the IPv6 routing, unicast routing, right? And then I go to the loopback 0 interface. From here, I will configure the OSPF process under loopback 0 interface. And then I go to serial 0/2/0, and here you are. So I configured the OSPF routing protocol to work on both interfaces, loopback 0 and serial 0/2/0, exactly the same thing I have done for RT1. All right, now once I'm done, I go to RTR. The first thing here, I should enable the IPv6 routing, and then I go to loopback 0 interface, from where I will enable the OSPF process. Let's see here, the OSPF process number is 30. I'm giving different numbers just to show that the OSPF process number is local to the router, okay? And here, this interface should belong to area 0. From there, I will go to serial 0/1/0. I enable that interface. I assign the interface to area 0 of the OSPF routing protocol. And interface serial 0/2/0. Also, I enable that interface to be in area 0 for routing protocol, for the OSPF routing protocol. So once I'm done, normally there should be another loading, okay? So there is full connectivity now between the two routers in terms of routing protocols. There is adjacency or neighbor relationship between the two routers. They converged, so all routers have converged. Now from this router, I'm going to type the command show IPv6 route. And this is what I have. So I notice here that I have OSPF routes. To display only OSPF, I can always do this filtering. Okay, so I see the OSPF routes like this. So this is the IPv6 address of loopback 0 interface on RT1, and this is the IPv6 address of loopback 0 on RT2. Now, I don't want to see this prefix, the prefix length 128, because this one here, it means what we know is only the IP address. Now, I would like to know the prefix only, not the IP address. So normally I should see 2003 colon 2 colon 2 colon 2 double colon 0/64. So the prefix. In other terms, I should represent the loopback interface as a network. So what we should do for that, let's go to the loopback 0 interface on RT1, and then I'm going to configure it as an OSPF network type point-to-point, right? So here it is. I do the same thing with RT2. I go to interface loopback 0, and for that interface I'm going to configure it with network type, OSPF network type point-to-point. All right, and same story for the RTR. Here I go again to the loopback 0 interface, IPv6 OSPF, then network type for the loopback 0 interface will be point-to-point, the OSPF network type, of course. Since I have done this change, I have to force the router's OSPF routing protocol to restart. Okay, so clear IPv6 OSPF process. All right, so I can do this on all routers. Okay, clear IPv6 OSPF process, clear IPv6 OSPF process, right? Okay, and finally we have to go to RT2 again and clear the IPv6 OSPF process, just to make everything correct and reach the stability and convergence. Now from RTR now, let's go again to RTR and display routing table, and yes, we have this. We have now the prefix which is of the interface loopback 0 of RT1, RT2, which is advertised instead of the IPv6 address. And how do you know it's a prefix? Because the prefix length is 64. It's the equivalent of network address in IPv6, in IPv4. If you go to RT1, it's the same thing. Show IPv6 route, same thing here. And just I want to display only OSPF. So I see here the prefix related to loopback 0 on RT2, loopback 0 interface on RTR, and this is the prefix of the serial link between RTR and RT2, which is 2003 colon 32 colon 32 colon 32 double colon /64. So everything works fine. I go also to RT2, show IPv6 route. Okay, I have to use the filter, and again I am receiving prefixes instead of IPv6 addresses. That's fine. So from RT1 again, let's go to RT1. I can display show IPv6 OSPF database. All right, so I can see router link states, the link states, the router link state, the link states for area 0, and the intra-area prefix link states for area 0. I will describe this information in one of my future videos. For now, just we check if database is correctly instantiated on each router, plus the fact that an OSPF router ID here has an ID. If I go to the running configuration, you see that I already configured loopback 0 with an IPv4 address. And IPv4 address actually is the address which is going to be used by OSPF, whether it's OSPF version 2 or OSPF version 3, to identify a router. So IPv4 address will be the identifier for that router from the perspective of OSPF version 2 or OSPF version 3. And remember, it will always be the highest IP address. If you have multiple loopback interfaces configured on the same router, the identifier or the OSPF ID of a router will be the highest IP address assigned to those loopback interfaces. So that's why here I am RT1. And if I do this, if I display show IPv6 OSPF neighbor, so it's going to show me that the neighbor is RTR, but the ID of the neighbor will be an IPv4 address, which is 172.20.0.1. Okay, so this one is already configured. If you go here to the configuration, you will see that there is a loopback interface which is assigned this IPv4 address 172.20.0.1. Since it's only one single loopback interface, it's used as a neighbor ID identifier from the perspective of OSPF version 3. And it says that the state of convergence is full. These are the dead time interface ID and interface through which this router RT1 is connected to RTR, which is serial 0/1/0. And it will be the same story with the RT2 again, show IPv6 neighbor, show IPv6 OSPF neighbor, show neighbor, yeah. So again, RT2 recognize RTR as its neighbor through the neighbor ID of RTR. So you can also check this, show IPv6 protocol, and you can get this information here. All right, so it tells you what are the interfaces participating in area 0 and whether there is a redistribution or not. Okay, so now let's check the connectivity. So I am in RT1. I would like to see if there is reachability with the loopback interface of RT2, 2003. I ping to 2003, colon 2, colon 2, colon 2, double colon 1. And you see now the ping is successful. I can also try to trace route to the loopback the loopback 0 interface on RT2 using its IPv6 address, and this one shows you the IP address of the inbound interface, which is 2003.colon 12 double colon 2. All right, and this is the first router, and this is the target to which we are trace routing, and it shows the IPv6 address of serial interface, meaning that you reach the router where the loopback 0 interface is already configured. So everything works fine. So thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you next videos talking more about IPv6 and OSPF.